including improper and attempted killings, poisonings, beatings and mutilations, is happening on a massive scale and has risen since the coronavirus pandemic. This is according to the RSPCA. In 2022, there were nearly 10,000 reports of dog cruelty made to the charity, compared to 8,000 in 2021, 7,000 in 2022. That is a rise of 27% in just 3 years. The cause could be due to rising financial strain on families. The RSPCA said cases of cruelty typically rise in the summer, with 35 beatings reported a day in August 2022. Let's speak to Chris O'Brien from the RSPCA. Afternoon to you, Chris.
Afternoon, Ian. Thank you for having us on.
It's a pleasure. Every time we read these, I think most decent people look at these figures. We find them, it makes us angry, it makes us upset. These are incredibly distressing figures, and I think most people, when they hear people say, well, it could be the financial problems that people have. There's lots of people out there with financial issues who would never consider beating their pet dog or any other animal for that matter. This is a deeply disturbing rise we're seeing here.
We're really, really troubled by these figures. As you said, almost 10,000 calls around intentional harm towards dogs, and some 43,000 calls in general about dog welfare. So this is a really, really worrying time for the RSPCA. As we bid to cancel out cruelty, these figures just highlight just how busy our officers are. It's difficult not to conclude that the cost of living crisis is playing an impact here, particularly in the sorts of cruelty that are perhaps more unwitting cruelty, where people are not taking their animals to the vets and problems are escalating from there. We've seen a rise in abandonment as well, where people have allowed the costs to mount up and have just decided to take drastic action and dump their animal. Our message to those people would be that is never the solution. There is help out there. But of course, we've also seen a rise in intentional harm and beatings as well, which is a real cause for concern.
I mean, is there any way, how do we explain that away? I mean, are there just some angry, horrible people out there? What is the, I'm sure there are some very caring psychiatrists who would give us all manner of interpretations on this one, but it's hard to find or muster up any kind of sympathy with. And sadly, we have seen those videos, and I'm sure in your line of work you've seen some even worse than the kind of stuff you might find on YouTube or whatever. How do we explain it? I mean, what do people say when they're caught? How do they find a defence for that?
Every call that we get is different, and every case that we get, of course, is different. I've mentioned the cost of living crisis having an impact on perhaps those more unwitting cases of cruelty, where someone is not taking their pet to the vet and something has escalated and it's led to neglect. We've also seen some really troubling popular trends that do lead themselves to intentional harm towards animals. One such one is the cropping of dogs' ears, where we've seen this trend that's sort of spiked on social media, where people are carrying out a procedure which is illegal in the UK and can cause dogs a huge amount of harm, but unfortunately has been on the rise as well. And trends like that have unfortunately contributed towards these worrying. I mean,
this is literally cutting part of the ear off, no anaesthetic or anything like that, just doing it.
That's right. Cropping ears is literally cutting the dog's ears off. It carries no benefit to the dog at all. Wow. For some reason, some see it as an attractive cosmetic thing to do. It is illegal in England and Wales to crop a dog's ears. Unfortunately, that hasn't stopped many people from doing them, as our figures show.
I mean, just a final point. I don't even know if there's an answer to this, Chris, but how do we stop this? How do we try to stop this? What is the message out there?
The big message from us is we know the overwhelming majority of people will be horrified by these figures. Most people are animal lovers. Britain is often known as a nation of animal lovers, and we need the public support more than ever. We cannot do what we do as a charity on the front line, responding to these thousands of calls every single year without their kind support through donations and through volunteering and being our eyes and ears on the front line as well. These reports come from concerned members of the public. There are things the government can do as well. We've seen some positive steps from the government in recent years around increasing the maximum sentence for animal cruelty. That's gone from 6 months to 5 years for some offences, and that can act as a deterrent. But there's more the government can do as well. I mentioned cropped ears. There's still a loophole in law where you can import a dog with cropped ears. that makes it harder to prove that a dog with cropped ears in this country is illegal. And there's a really easy open goal for the government to
just
close that
close
loophole.
the loophole. Yes, it's staggering. It would even
which is
be
something
there.
they were going to do through their capped animals bill, which sadly has been dropped recently.
Indeed. Chris, thank you for your time. Chris O'Brien from the RSPCA. I don't know where you begin on this. I mean, if you're caught, who cuts a dog's ears off? Let's get a Stanley knife or a pair of scissors and just cut our dog's ears off because we want to make them a certain shape, which apparently will make them look more menacing, or whatever your thinking behind that would be. I mean, if you're caught doing that, you have your ears cut off, right? It's as simple as that. You just get taken down the cop shop and somebody comes out with some pinking shears and removes your earlobes. I mean, I don't know what else you would say to somebody whose depravity is so down there that they are capable of cutting a dog's ears off. I mean, you can only imagine the horror, the pain, the suffering, the squealing of a poor beast as some moron, some toothless simpleton sets out to cut its dog's ears off. Well, where have you got to be on the evolutionary scale to at any point think that's okay? You might imagine that if you are so stupid, the brains of a lobotomized chimpanzee, there would still be a point in the process. You know, when you're going to the drawer to get the knife or the scissors, there might be a point when you go, is this right, what I'm about to do to that little puppy? I'm going to cut its flipping ears off? I mean, man, you have something very badly wrong with you. You need to be put in a big room somewhere, minus your flipping ears.